1st of August 2023, and I'm down beside the HMS Caroline, which I have videoed many times before, and I'm down on the motorbike. I'm down in the pump house just behind me here, and this is the actual pump house that serviced most of the ships in around Alexander Dock and Thompson Dock. It certainly serviced the Titanic, but any of the White Star ships was going to be serviced by this pump house. But there's something very interesting going on here. I've never been in this place before, ever. I didn't even know it was open to the public, stupid me. And apparently you get a walk around of in here and the galleries and all the rest of it, showing you the HMS Caroline down in there. You get that as part of your ticket for when you buy a ticket for the HMS Caroline. Ship guided walk, but it's self-guided. So I didn't know that, but there's a book launch going on today, and it's telling the story of the Yangtze Incident, and the book is called The Belfast Boys and the Yangtze Incident, from Belfast to Nanking, and it's by Andy Bannister, and I believe that Andy is the son of this chap, this sailor, that's shown on the front cover. And here's all about it. The Royal Navy's Great Escape story from the men involved in the epic escape from communist waters 1949, a tribute to the Amethyst heroes and an insight into how they lived through 100 days of captivity, and they were badly treated, how they suffered death, injury, severe heat and limited food, and lived to fight or lived to get through it. All young men a long way from home, fought with true courage and bravery, returning home to Belfast in Ireland, where the story is still fascinating many readers today. Andy Bannister, proud son of stoker mechanic Sammy Bannister of the HMS Amethyst, and Andy Bannister has written this book in tribute to not only his own father, but also to the guys who got away. Now this is one for you, Reg. You'll enjoy this, and you too, Chris, and you too, Sean. In fact, you'll all enjoy it. I feel privileged at actually getting to this book launch. You're the man himself. Your daddy was the one to do all this.
That's right. That's
Andy Bannister, who has written this book here, The Belfast Boys and the Yangtze Incident, from Belfast to Nanking, and that was his father. So, what was your inspiration for writing this book, Andy? Obviously,
my dad is the main reason why I wrote the book.
Yes.
But we're trying to keep the story alive because there's so many other local guys involved in this incident too.
That's right. How many were on the Amethyst?
There was about 170 of a crew, but we had 8 guys from Northern Ireland on that ship at the time of the Yangtze Incident.
So, give us a brief summary of the incident.
So, the ship was actually part of the Far Eastern convoy patrolling that area.
Right.
At that time, there was a civil war going on in China, but any foreign ship had freedom of passage to use the waters because they weren't involved in the civil war.
Right.
So as Amethyst was making her way from Shanghai to Nanking, she was attacked.
She was just minding her own business,
minding
basically.
her own business. She was attacked. They unfurled the Union Jacks on both sides of the ship, to show that
Yes.
it was a British ship.
And it was still attacked.
And they still attacked her. During that attack, my father was seriously injured. He received shrapnel wounds to the chest.
Right.
The ship was grounded, and the order for evacuate ship, abandoned ship, was made by the captain.
So thought she was going to go down.
Yeah, so some of them tried to get off. My dad and another guy, because they were injured, were captured by the communist regime.
That was the People's Liberation Army.
That's right.
Were they under Mao?
Sorry?
Were they under Chairman Mao?
They were, yeah. Colonel Kang was their main leader at the time, but because they were injured, they took them to a village hospital.
Right.
Very primitive hospital without anaesthetic, so they operated on my dad without anaesthetic.
Oh my goodness.
But ultimately they saved his life. But then they became political pawns between the faction and the British Navy.
Oh boy.
And they tried to browbeat them into signing statements
Yes.
that Amethyst fired first,
Yes.
which she didn't.
Right.
And fair play to my dad and the young fella boy Martin, they wouldn't sign statements.
And so they were probably beaten and what have you.
Yeah, they were there for a few weeks, being browbeat into signing, but they wouldn't sign. So they got released back to the ship, and then almost 100 days later, the ship escaped and rejoined the fleet.
So whenever it was originally attacked, was it attacked by aircraft or gunboats or?
No, it was field artillery.
Field artillery.
Both sides
from the shoreline.
The Yangtze River, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And it got away, and you mentioned that your father then fought in Korea as well.
He went on after that, yes. He stayed with the ship and they fought in Korea.
Right. My goodness gracious.
Between 50 and 52.
When did he retire out of the Navy?
He'd done a 7-year stint in the Navy, and shortly after Korea, then he left.
Baptism of fire.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the other gentleman in behind me, that's Raymond,
Yes.
and his father was on the Amethyst too. And
Raymond's father was
you
there
didn't
too.
you didn't know Raymond 5 years ago. Would that be true?
Yes, 5 years ago, yes. But
You wouldn't have known each other 5 years ago. So what happened? Did Andy phone you or something? Or?
No, what happened, Andrew had been procuring his father's medals and trying to get them back home where they belonged.
Yes.
And I found out that Andrew had appeared in the Antiques Roadshow show, and Andrew then contacted me, and we got together, we got our stories together. We found that both of us had a lot of common interests, specifically with HMS Amethyst. Andrew's story, my story.
You're like brothers standing here.
Andrew made that comment not long ago. He felt like I was a brother, so I feel exactly the same.
Brilliant
And
stuff.
Our dads were friends, we're friends. Our grandmothers knew each other.
Right.
You can go way back, but all this is stemmed from Andrew contacting
It's like
me.
long lost families here.
Indeed, yes, it is.
But right back to the book. It's 175 pages.
155.
150 packed with photographs.
It's a complete story from my grandfather being in the First World War and Second World War, my father's upbringing in Belfast,
Right.
and how he ended up in the Navy,
Right.
the Yangtze Incident in Korea, and then his life after that, and then my campaign to repatriate his medals,
Right.
and then meeting with Raymond. And our campaign is now to get a permanent memorial in the Maritime Mile and a storyboard about the incident, and that'll be the final piece of the jigsaw for ourselves.
That might be hard to do. Where was the Amethyst built?
She was built by Alexander Stephen and Sons in Scotland,
In Scotland, you say?
but she actually came here
She was here.
part of the Naval Reserve.
Right. Okay.
And she was in Lisnahalli for a while,
Right.
being decommissioned.
Right. Okay.
She actually ended up starring in her own film, The Yangtze Incident.
Right. So your father, you told me, was buried in Larne.
Yes.
Would that be the parish church, or is there a graveyard or
It's just a local cemetery.
a local cemetery? And where would your father be?
My dad's buried in Ardglass.
Ardglass.
He grew up in Ardglass during the war.
Okay.
And as Andrew had stated before, we found out that he went fishing and trawling. His interest in the sea came from there.
Yeah.
And then he moved back to Belfast and joined the Navy.
Thank you to these guys for doing the wee interview, and I'll have this out on YouTube, guys. You know, these
coming down.
No bother. These stories deserve to be remembered,
have to be.
And it's not just the big guys like Paddy Main; it's the small guys like your fathers.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you don't tell your story, then it's going to be lost.
And nobody else will tell it.
That's right. So all part of your elbow. Great stuff. Thanks very much. So these are the two guys who are here today. Their fathers were two shipmates, and this is a wee sort of montage of the action. I don't want to get in people's room because that's what I normally do. What a film made about this incident. And I'm nearly sure I've watched this. I bet you Chris has. And there's Andy Bannister, and there's Samuel Bannister, his father, about whom the book is about, and there's amongst others, and there's Raymond McCulloch, and there's his father, Raymond Charles McCulloch, and he served on the Amethyst too. Right, getting myself out of the road. This book will be available on Amazon and down here at the Pumphouse beside the HMS Caroline, and it's very fitting that it is here. Excellent job.